Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lovely Night for It. I know it has been a long, long time since I've recorded anything of any kind, really. I think 11 months. Wow, 11 months. Every time I made a recording, I would always say, I remember this, oh, I intend on making more videos, doing this on a more regular schedule. But the truth is, if I don't have anything to say, I'm not just going to pump out random garbage. I mean, one could argue what I am pumping out is garbage. And, well, maybe, maybe you're right. I'm not going to argue too much about that. But I've been thinking lately how much, and this is going to sound like a very random thought to you because it is, just how much the year 2015 taught me about myself and what it means to be a man and be responsible and act correctly in a public setting because yeah, in 2015 life wasn't so good. I was just coming off the back of um that first relationship that I made that really cringy four-part series on, the really overdramatic one. You probably remember it. And if you don't remember it, don't bother going back. You don't want to remember it. if Oh God, I sometimes consider taking down half my old videos, but you know what? I think they should stay up just because. Why should I take them down? They're out there already. There's no point. But from the point of view in 2022, 2015 was really strange. So coming off the back of that first relationship, I was not in a very healthy headspace. Post that breakup, I started that acting edgy on purpose. I'd like to reiterate, just in case you forgot, I was about 16 or 17 years old. So there's a tiny excuse for my cringy behavior in 2014, 2015-ish, like early 2015, but it wasn't good. I had shaved my head from the stupid spiky wannabe David Tennant from Doctor Who hair. I started wearing darker colors. You could not get more like what I see now as a cry for attention and the self-centered sense of being wronged, because I'd always had the excuse, and yes, it was an excuse, that I knew that I'd been shitty, but that I, quote, had done all the wrong things for all the right reasons. That's that's bullshit. And never let that mindset take you over. Don't convince yourself. Just accept that when you've been a piece of garbage, you're a piece of garbage. And that's okay if you are a piece of garbage. But what's not okay is staying a piece of garbage. Because you, as you'll hear in the rest of this video, may end up hurting not only yourself, but every single soul around you. So, in early 2015, to skip ahead back to the main point of the story, don't forget how scatterbrained I get with these. Getting back on the main track, so in early 2015, I was all fucked up in the head, this dark, brooding, the world has fucked me over, mysterious, ugh, guy. And I remember was it February? I think January, no, January 7th, 2015. I can't believe I remember shit like that. I auditioned for a role in a play, which I got, award winning, still proud to say, award winning play. And at my audition, I had unknowingly met what would be my second and third future girlfriends. And they were very close friends. What I didn't know was that the third one had a thing for me before the second, but I wasn't very close with her. But that'll get its own video. I was not really open to dating again at this point. I still think I was clinging on to the hope that I could reconnect with my first ex which was not going to happen. The end to that, if you remember, was very, very ugly. And we didn't speak again until, what, 2019. We had slightly reconnected. So me and this, we'll call her two, the girl that would end up being my second girlfriend. I haven't gotten permission from anybody to use their name, so I'm just not going to be shitty and do that. But my cousin had a girlfriend at the time who was best friends with this girl. And he comes to me one day and tells me, hey, so and so's best friend saw you audition and get the role, by the way. Again, still proud. Not going to ever stop bragging about that because it's the only thing I've really accomplished in my life that matters. And that they were interested in setting up a double date. Dark brooding me was a little bit iffy on that. I didn't want to let go of the, I think now, I didn't want to let go of the pain that I had become addicted to. There, you get very comfortable in hatred and anger once it's the only thing you know. Because when you go from feeling something great to feeling so burnt out, nothing at all, pain and anger is actually addictive. It's the best and worst feeling because in comparison, the backdrop it's against is no feeling at all. And that is a bad place to be. I'm sure many of you have been through it as well. I would like to think that I'm not the only one, but if I am, then you know what? I guess lucky you. So I do go on this double date, and being 16, 17, it's just the four of us walking around our local mall, all douchey and awful, because that's what you did as a teenager. You couldn't really drive yet. You couldn't go anywhere, especially where I'm from. There's nothing to do. So you end up just kind of wandering in circles around the food court. And me and this girl really did hit it off, although we were both inherently shy people. Fast forward to later that night, and we're all hanging out in my cousin's room. I still remember it vividly. Him and his girlfriend were sitting on his bed, and he had a spare bed that was more of a storage shelf, a twin bed in the other corner of the room. We were watching TV. Me and this girl, too, were sitting next to each other. We were chatting, we were fine, but we weren't really close. There was this invisible barrier between us. And I remember we were texting each other, the four of us, in a group chat. We were all in the same room, typical, I know, typical modern kid shit, all in the same room, not looking at each other at this point, and texting in a group chat. And one of them pretty much just says to me, are you going to do something? I think she wants you to do something, although she wasn't giving any signals. I wasn't giving any signals either. We were just a couple awkward kids. So, I, at this point, out loud go, ah, fuck it. And I sort of hold her hand, put my arm around her. I know half of you are going, ugh, you were 17 and it was a big deal holding hands. Isn't that a big deal when you're 10? And yes, you're right. But nothing. You know what? You're just right in that assumption. But it was big at that point because it was an inexperienced little shy boy, back of the room, quiet shy boy, guy. And we ended up dating, me and this girl, for maybe about a month, and it was good. Even even the things that after the things that happened, it was a good time. We were both in high school. We went to high school together. She was 2 grades younger than me. I was a senior. She was a sophomore, same as the girl my cousin was dating, and he was in my grade. And I did this thing with my friends, and I didn't hide it from her, where me and my, at the time, friend group would make really mean in-jokes about my first girlfriend that they had never met, but had only heard stories about through me. And at this point, I had turned the pain of the cutting situation that one had that really messed me up. And I think to cope with it, I turned it into a really mean running joke. Anytime the word cut came up, we would all just look at each other and laugh because we knew it wasn't even a spoken thing. And now that I think about it, that is just so fucked. That is just the worst thing to do. But I had never been taught how to deal with pain. I'd never really been through pain like that. Growing up, yeah, I'd sort of always pined after girls. It was always the mushy, romantic, me and my friends, like some kind of TV show, coming up with this week's scheme to get our crushes that never panned out. Go to next week, like another episode. It really was like living a TV show, and it never worked out. So I'd felt that kind of pain of rejection, but not that deep pain of, I think, not accepting that I had possibly caused her to do those things. Because with my behavior in that first situation, I there's a very good chance I did. And now this new girl I was dating is very bubbly and out there and always so cheery, and that sort of like smiling and laughing in a group that makes the whole rest of the group smile and laugh too. So this ray of positivity being met by my just brutal sense of humor, sadistic shit, which I, of course, was doing in good fun with my friend group, who were also a bunch of just awful people. But the way it offset, I think, must have been a major turnoff, being such a force of negativity. And that's one thing I really want to get to here. Sort of the point of this rambling is, for any of you young people out there, you need to recognize what you're putting out into the world that you might not realize you're doing. I made jokes. I knew at the time they were jokes. I still remember where the point of view I was coming from. They were intended to be funny, but you got to know your audience. If somebody's a really nice person, don't make awful jokes to them. I'm not saying it's bad to make awful jokes, but do it to people who like awful jokes. I'm not gonna say that certain things are just outright wrong. Maybe they are, but if your sense of humor is wrong, if what you're saying is wrong, if your audience likes wrong, then you're fine. But I dated that girl for maybe a month, and she ended up leaving me as well. And I didn't take it well. I'll always remember, it's the one line that haunts me still. It doesn't haunt me in the way that it hurts, but it's sort of a line I'll never forget now, because for a long time it did really hurt me and echo in my head. And it was during the breakup call, discussing sort of us breaking up, that she sort of ended it with, "Oh, and those jokes you make about," no, I'm not going to use her name, "are really fucked up. Thanks for proving you were the monster you always said you were." And from somebody who basted in their own sea of self-hatred and told themselves that all the time beforehand, oh my God, did that hit deep. That hurt bad. So, how did I deal with this? Did I learn from being a negative person? Did I learn, hey, maybe I should just treat people better? Maybe I should act like a better person and not drive everybody away? No. I publicly, for months, mocked and subtweeted and made fun of the girl who left me in perhaps the most hateable acts I have ever committed in my life. Thankfully, I don't have that original, or I don't use that original Twitter account anymore. It's gone and locked away, and I never intend on going back, but it's so many years back anyway, I probably couldn't find the tweets. It was just belittling the things that I loved about her at the time. I weaponized them. Such a piece of garbage thing to do. There is no excuse for it. There is no excuse. I realize now I was taking out my anger on other people. And it's, you know what? That's not a good look. That is not a good thing to do at all under any circumstances. And eventually, she did come to me about it because in high school, and Twitter was still relatively big at that point, everybody followed everybody, even if they weren't friends in real life or even talked to each other in class. You just followed people, and people followed you who went to the same school. And things got back to her, and I eventually realized how bad it hurt her. And I remember it was May 1st, 2015. I was in the parking lot of my school after school because this girl had been texting me. And me and another friend of mine, a girl who I did theater with who had a crush on me, whose name I won't use either, sat in the car with me as I talked to this girl, because those two girls also knew each other fairly well. And I broke. I think it finally set in just how bad I was. And taking this person that I valued a lot and I treasured and wanted to be this sort of loving, protecting force, especially at that age in high school, you strive to be a quote serious relationship and do serious relationship things. And it all set in sitting in my front seat, crying my fucking eyes out with my friend, just how far gone I was. If you don't keep your emotions in check, they will own you. They will turn on its head. If you do bad shit out of whatever intentions you justify to yourself, you're still doing bad shit. And me and two, we later on we were okay. We're okay to this day. It's probably the one ex I have that I am still friends with and have a positive outlook on, really. Who's still a good person I admire very, very much. But for years I held on to the guilt of the way I publicly treated her and mocked the things she liked that I never minded that she liked, the movies she watched, anything. I accused her of being immature on certain things when those are qualities I found adorable at the time. But anger makes you do strange shit, man. Anger makes you do some stuff that you would like to think you would never do otherwise. Maybe it brings out your true self, which is a terrifying thought, or maybe it just brings out the worst in you. That's uh that's up for debate, I guess. But getting ahead, I later after I graduated that summer, I still didn't learn my lesson because then came who we'll refer to as 3, a girl that I brought into my friend group, became at it, to this day probably the best friend I ever had, who we aren't friends, we don't have contact, I don't intend on ever speaking to again. And that's not out of some kind of hatred or anger. I'm so past feeling those sort of things and the aftermath of what happened to us. That's actually going to be its own video, I think, because that is a 3-year story of ups and downs and horrible friend breakups and horrible relationship breakups, because we dated for about a month as well, from July to from end of July to end of August 2015. And we had a very toxic, unhealthy friendship. I was a like peak that was peak incel me. I brought her into a friend group, a long established one, and it shattered the group. That group is still not, the way it was, if you could even consider it existing. But that's going to be its own video for sure. I have a lot to say on that. But with 3, I carried on this self-centered inability to recognize my own behavior, whether it was subconsciously blocking it out or what. I truthfully don't know. That's the kind of thing you'd like to study about yourself. I would never do therapy. I am not the kind of person who can, but you know what? It would probably be good to draw out that sort of thing. But 2015 itself, I drove everybody away due to the things I did at that time and the cycles I created for myself that I blamed on others. That would sometimes, in some cases, take years to unfold that I still indirectly feel the repercussions of to this day. Did I do wrong? Absolutely. Do I regret it? It depends on where you look at it. Because of course I would never do the things I did. I would never want to. If you threw me back there, I would do them differently. If you put me in my old body, whole life would go differently. But it's that thing of I have a real appreciation for what it taught me. I know things and I think in certain ways that nobody around me shows any capability of even grasping. And I am very, very thankful for that. There was a lot of turmoil and bad blood and mental abuse, debatably, but from me, from them to me. I've I used to blame everything on them. Then I blamed everything on me. But now I'm able to differentiate between just what I did and just what they did. And I've come to accept my flaws and learn from them and face them. And I realize now that for so long, they projected things onto me as well. And I have never seen any sign of them having the ability to self-reflect in that way and accept what they did to me. I would never ask for forgiveness. I don't think I'd want it. It wouldn't matter now. We're all late 20s, very late 20s for some, mid 20s for others. It's so in the past. But it's an interesting learning point. Is really the summary of this whole rambling video. 2015 taught me how to live in 2022. To essentially sum it up, the mistakes of an 18-year-old immature boy taught me how to be a man, a good man in most cases, I hope. And I'd like to think with the videos I make and the ramblings that I record, such as this one, no written out script or anything, just a bullet pointed list of topics I wanted to tackle, that I can use this channel and I can use my experiences, pick out little points, maybe out of videos I've already made, and really flesh them out, that I can help younger men not go through what I went through, to still learn the lessons and have them impact them so the lessons actually matter and aren't words that go in one ear and out the other. Because let's face it, you have to experience bad shit for it to change you. You can't just hear about it. But if I can explain it well in ways that I needed it explained when I was young, maybe some people will just know how to face it when they do encounter problems. Because you can't take back the things that you say and you do. You can apologize for them. I've tried to apologize to everybody I could for the things that I did, but you can't take them back. So, the lesson of this for you, anybody listening, boy, girl, man, woman, is to take the time to self-reflect, and all of the things that make you feel the worst are the things you need to dwell on first. You need to learn why they hurt you, what you did to hurt yourself and hurt others, and how to spin it in a positive way to not hurt anybody ever again. I would like to think that, you know, in the future on this channel and in these podcasts and other videos, I am going to do what I can to help educate young men in particular, but of course, anybody, I would hope anybody could learn from the things I make, to be a better person and to conduct yourself in a better manner. So, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Please subscribe if you want to hear more. Maybe I'll do it in a rambling fashion like this. Maybe I'll do it with video, like actual video with my face on it. Not that anybody wants to see that. Maybe I'll tackle certain topics. If you want to leave a comment on anything that I've said or that you're curious about, let me know. And I could always use more ideas to flesh out and ramble on and say more shit. All right, you can find all my socials down below in the description. Thank you very much. I hope to make more of these, but I say that every time. I'm going to make more of these when I feel I have something to say. All right, see you later. And thank you for joining me on Lovely Night for It. It certainly has been a lovely night for a chat. I will see you later.